Well, it's been fishing so well, we decided to come out and highlight Willard again, but when it's good, it's good.
It's good every year, about this time each spring, right?
Yeah. Chris Penny with the Division of Wildlife Resources. We've got retired biologist, current biologist, fisheries manager, I should say.
Yeah.
Friends that have fished this for years, and we're gonna go load up on some fillets, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, and when it's good, you gotta bring everybody out, right? So,
yeah.
Let's go do it.
All right, sounds good.
Home to walleye, wiper, catfish, crappie, perch, and smallmouth bass, Willard Bay has a lot to offer. But if there's one fishery in Utah where I've had my, well, you know what handed to me, it's this fishery. It can be hot fishing one day and the next leave you wondering if it holds any fish at all.
I would say it's been heating up, but it's really been on and off. And, you know, spring is always weird. But it just seems like this spring, you know, up until now, we haven't gone many days without a weather pattern. And so it's really been on and off. But when it's been on, it's been on. And people have had really good success.
Our first approach is to try trolling deep diving crankbaits about 100 feet behind the boat and on planer boards.
That feels like a wiper.
Oh yeah.
Can't even get all the lines out. We already got a fish on it.
No, it's a wiper. It's got some size to it. Whoop, out of the motor. There we go. Got it. Well done, Taylor and Adam.
Nice.
Fire tiger, planer shad.
Oh man, that's a chunk.
You know, wiper, it seems like typically the past few years made up maybe about a third of the catch, at least recreationally, is what people are catching. And so they're there. They're what we call patchily distributed, though, or, you know, you're either in them or you're not a lot of the times.
That wiper was the only fish we would boat for the next 5 hours. Then Chris had a hunch that we should try casting crankbaits towards the dike. And what a day it turned out to be.
Could be a carp.
Could be a cat. No, it looks like a wiper.
Listen to the drag scream.
On a
I don't
spinning
think
rod.
he knew he was hooked for a minute.
I don't think he did either. The wiper kind of day so far. That's a beast.
Wiper.
Oh man.
I knew this could happen from time to time. I've tried it myself a few times, just, you know, pitching against this bank. Yeah, it's been a neat discovery. It's one I'm going to put in my fishing journal as well.
There we go.
Oh my God!
Fish. That's a nice fish.
People may have noted we're putting them in more and more waters throughout the state. It's not that we want to shove wipers down everybody's throat, but we're finding more and more uses for them. They're really useful when it comes to controlling some of these forage fish populations, such as Utah chub is one, gizzard shad's another. And in some cases, we've been using them at places like even East Canyon, where we thought we had an overabundance of crayfish, and we just wanted a sport fish that could use that.
Look at that.
How big is that?
You
4 pounds?
I don't know. You got a measuring board on the bottom here, though.
Willard Bay, they're known for feeding on the shad, but in other waters, that's not necessarily the case. They're finding different stuff, and they're
Almost going to go 24.
they're usually thriving, so they're very versatile.
That's an amazing fish. Cool. It's a wiper. Got a little drag feeling out here.
Is this a wiper?
Oh yeah. No flipping around like a catfish? Nope.
They're fantastic. It's kind of like having a rocket on the end of your pole sometimes. A lot of that, I think, is owed to the shape of the fish.
Don't do that, don't do that.
These wipers, a little bit different than the striper. They get a little bit deeper bodied. They're able to really exert a lot of drag, as we've seen when they turn that body of theirs. And that really can make it them the difficult one to reel in.
Chris says these wipers are trying to spawn near the dike.
And actually, as a fun fact, they're effectively sterile. They're not sterile. So actually, what they call, I think it's the F2 generation. They can still have about 10% egg survival and hatching, but by the time they get to that third, like what they call the F3, a lot of times it's near nothing. So they can't support a population, but they actually can still reproduce sometimes.
Oh my God! They're just tanks.
We're gonna let Sorno and Brunson know we found them.
Do we have to?
We don't have to. We can get a few more before we call them in. That's another 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, where is he at? Okay.
Oh no! Oh, good job. Whoa.
DWR guys can't mess with a net.
It came off too.
Yeah.
It did.
Woo! Then
Done.
Nice.
quick release.
So these were our best cranks today. This little square build actually worked really good along the dikes. You know, it goes down a certain depth, probably about 8 feet, and then just kind of levels off. And so we were able to use the planer board right up against the dike, and that square build did really well. This Berkeley Fritz side, I've had it for a long time and actually did really well with it down at Lake Powell this year. Threw it on and it did really well here today too. So those two lures were our two go-to. A lot of these lures, are, you know, different lures are going to work out here as well. The flicker shad, you know, is a really good option to use out here. These just worked really good around the dikes.
That's 5 pounds, isn't it?
Probably. You got a scale? I got one in mine. You want me to weigh it?
Scale. Let's put a
Got
scale
one
on
in
it.
the shop.
They're a sterile cross between a white bass and a striped bass.
About 21.
We do both crosses in Utah where we get both what we call the sunshine bass, which is a white bass egg and a striped bass milt. And then we do the reciprocal one, which is a palmetto bass, named after the Palmetto State of South Carolina. They're the ones that develop this because they've got easy access to ocean run striper. But that's a striper egg and then the milt from white bass.
If I'm reading that right, I think we're at 5 pounds just right there.
Wow.
So, yeah. That's one of the smaller ones of the bunch, so that's excellent. Came looking for walleye today, but it looks like it's wiper.
Wiper day.
No complaints there though, huh? This is not a snag.
This is not a snag. It looks like a snag. It's acting like a snag. But believe me, it's not a snag.
And I'm not milking it.
You're not Hollywood in this one?
No.
We try and strike a balance between walleye and wiper. We've really been trying to manage about 50-50.
Oh, he's flipping. I'm gonna back up.
Wiper are a lot more variable though in what we can get our hands on as far as numbers of fish, size of fish. And so we've had some lean times and then we've had some good times as far as stocking them go.
Came off again too. Nice.
This one's gonna bite me back as well, like the last one.
Profile that. Look at that. Holy cow. That's another just a tank.
Again, not what we came for, but man, I think we found something cool right here. So.
It's more fun to hook on.
It sure is. This has been a riot.
Our catch rate has slowed, throwing crankbaits to the dike. So we decided to troll near the dike and had success for wipers and other species as well.
Yep, there it is. I get it this time if you're up for it. Keep the rod up.
It's feeling more wiperish now.
Now catfish. All right, we got more than that.
Yeah,
we got the smallmouth in the mix too.
That's right. Smalley, cat, walleye, and wiper. We did it.
So our cats, as Taylor was mentioning, they just keep growing.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing. Don't know what they're gonna top out at. And let's make this educational. This looks like a lady.
Oh, really? You can tell.
Yeah, so the males actually have the more muscular, kind of bulky head. The females are a lot more slender.
You got a slender. There's a fish.
And that's a wiper too.
He ripped it off he hit it so hard he pulled the planer board off.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is off, isn't
That
it? I was like, why isn't it coming in? Oh God.
I'm trying to get out of your way.
Trying to play the drag just right here. But I think this thing might own me for a little while.
When's the best time to target these?
Sure. I mean, I'll go with my disclaimer, which is any time's a good time to get out fishing, but the best time to get out for them, in my experience, has really been this May and June period. I'm just getting above it. Sorry, Adam, this thing's kind of owning me anyways right now. There are years where our shad as a forage kind of sometimes have a little bit tougher time. It's not often, but when that happens, you can catch them later in the year. And while we haven't seen it as much in recent years, usually around like state fair time, early September, can be a good time to look for boils. Might get a look at it here in a second. Yeah, it's wiper. Not as big. I think it was just playing the movement of the, well, I mean, that's big, but I think it was playing the boat a little bit with us moving. But if you visit the water a lot, you're gonna run into boils. I feel quite good about that.
I do too.
That can be a riot, just kind of like down to Lake Powell. But this kind of after Memorial Day and even into late June is really the peak time. So the planer board idea works. Not a huge one, but it's still, it fought well.
Finally found a walleye, trolling for wiper. We just needed to think wiper.
Looked like a decent walleye.
Yeah.
Pull her up. Oh, don't let her get off.
Looks like fun. Skating right
There we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Nice. Finally, the species we came after.
Walleye on a square bill, too.
Oh, square bill, yeah.
We started a stocking program back in about 2014, and really we've had about 10 years to look at it, and what's pretty cool is we took them from being a not so common catch, depending upon the year before, to now basically the most abundant fish by numbers in our gill net catch or in our surveys. Our quota this year was about 2.5 million fish for the water for these 10,000 surface acres at Willard. Believe it or not, by national standards, we actually stock a pretty low amount of fish per acre when it comes to these walleye fry. But what we do is in the springtime, in basically March and April, we will collect them in gill nets that are set along the shore. Our hatchery staff spawns them at the North Marina, and then those fish or eggs actually go back to our Springville hatchery, get hatched out, and generally about 9 to 14 days later, we end up putting them back in the water. It's what we call black fry, where they're about 5 days old. Yeah, I'm dragging a fish.
Dragging a walleye?
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet.
But over the past several years, Taylor's really analyzed that data and seen that our recruitment, meaning our additions to the population over the past 10 years, have been a lot stronger than they actually were before we started stocking. So there's no doubt it's working. Now it's fighting a little. It's really apparent, you know, in the fishery, and you know, in the number of boats you see in the parking lot these days. It's really become really popular this time of year.
Another little nugget, about a 14, 15-inch walleye.
That's a perfect eater.
That's a good eater right there, isn't it? Put him in the dead well. You were mentioning the bloodline, just like a striper, they've got that red bloodline. So all you gotta do is, once you get your fillet, just trim that off.
Right, yeah, and sometimes you can make just one angle in here, one angle in there, and then just pull it right out.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. Then they cook up really well, still that nice white flesh.
Yeah. You were saying also that you've been out here fishing with your family, and even in June, late June, July, catching these fish.
That's right, yeah. It seems like it usually stays good until about late June, early July. And then after that, I like moving to the trout water, staying cool, right?
Yep. Head up to Lost Creek or Rockford or Echo or something, and
absolutely, yeah. They've all been fishing well past couple of years.
right on. Very good. We'll get down here. There is some really good fillets, whether it's wiper or walleye. A lot of meals here for your family, and it's great meat for your family as well. I'm Adam Eagle, KSL Outdoors. We'll see you next weekend. Good night.